Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're still with you here on Nile TV International and our continued coverage of the second day of the first phase of the parliamentary elections for 2025. And we are now very much delighted to be joined this afternoon in the studio by our guest, Dr. Maha Mahgoub, the Senior Consultant for UN Organizations. Dr. Maha, good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time this afternoon. Now, of course, today is the second day of the voting in 14 governorates across Egypt, where Egyptians are flocking to the polling stations since 9 a.m. and polling stations will remain open till 9 p.m. Cairo local time to allow the eligible citizens to cast their ballots. How important do you see, Dr. Maha, the participation of Egyptian citizens in the parliamentary elections and their constitutional right and duty to pick their members of parliament that will be representing them in the parliament?
It's very important for Egyptian people to participate in the parliamentary elections. As you know, that the parliament represents the public, so each one should elect either is individual or less people should elect someone to represent their votes and to elect the most suitable one who can represent them in the parliament. Why? Because the parliament is the area which approve new laws and regulations which will be applied in Egypt. So it's very important to have a good representation, to elect the right person in the right place, because all parliament members will be representing Egyptian people.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Maha, these elections are being held under full judiciary supervision, and this is very important to ensure the democratic process as a whole. Of course, the Egyptian judiciary stands out in this regard. Tell me a bit about the importance of their supervision, and how do you see the general atmosphere over the last couple of days with the preparation of the polling stations to receive the Egyptian voters?
Yes, it's very important to have transparency in the election process.
Yes.
Therefore, civil society, judiciary are monitoring and organizing the election process.
Yes.
And it's very important to make sure that the election process is transparent. Each citizen represents their votes to the right person. No corruption, no overlapping in the election process. So it's organized by the state, police stations and so on. So the civil society together with the judiciary, police station and the state itself are aligning together in order to make sure that there is a transparent election process.
Absolutely, Dr. Maha. Now, let's talk a bit about some of the measures and facilitations with regards to the organization of the actual process of going to cast your ballot or vote for your MP. Now, we've seen security measures upgraded, as well as the provision of assistance for the elderly, for example, in the form of wheelchairs and police personnel to assist and escort them. Also, we've seen people with visual impairments. There's a braille ballot paper with instructions. Also, we've seen people with hearing impairments. There's sign language ballots. How important is this in order to allow inclusivity, really, for everyone to have a fair chance to practice their political rights?
Yes, I think this is the first time for Egypt to look after most needed persons, such as illiterate, special needs people, just to facilitate the election process, just to make sure that everything is smooth and giving each citizen in Egypt the right to vote or to present their votes to the selected parliament member. So it's very good just for human rights for each citizen in Egypt just to express their votes smoothly without any hazard or something that can hurt them.
Indeed. Now, also, we've seen, lots of information on mainstream media as well as social media, lots of educational campaigns that this is your political duty, your political right, your constitutional right for citizens. Now, back to Dr. Maha Mahgoub, our guest. I was just asking you before we took our correspondent live about the educational campaigns and the importance of educating Egyptian citizens on their right to practice their political rights.
Yes. Actually, the Ministry of Education here in Egypt just said one of the syllabus that how to participate in election. What about the national rights for students, especially for early stages, especially in vocational schools. So they train and they give awareness sessions to students, school students, about the democratic rights, the election, how to elect, what's the benefit of electing people. They use other methodologies such as stimulation as part of election process. Maybe we can have role playing, how to elect the right person, how to go there, how to vote, how to give your votes. As well, they give awareness session for parents as well, just to how to enhance the national spirit inside their students, children, how to raise the awareness about their rights, how to vote, how to be a good citizen in society.
And actually, Dr. Maha, we're seeing lots of imagery of whole families going to the polling stations. We're seeing the father, the mother with their children, and this further embodies the idea of educating children from a young age to engage them in political life and the political process. How do you see the family units that are being witnessed at several polling stations in the 14 governorates over the first phase?
It's very good and very nice. Me especially with my children when they were young students, secondary school students, I used to take them to the election. It's not police stations only in the past, but in schools and other election stations, and I raised and plant inside them the importance of giving their votes, and as they are a good citizen, they have to express their interest with the right person in the right place inside the parliament, because it's very important. If we don't represent our votes, dedicated votes to the right people, so maybe we cannot, later on maybe we can find negative consequences if some people are not responsible enough to regulate laws inside the parliament. So it's very important to participate in the election process.
Absolutely. Now, of course, this family unit that we're witnessing at the polling stations has a very large part to play, the role of women. I know that women have a very big responsibility and do play a very big role now in Egyptian politics. We have lots of women members of parliament and lots of women in political life now in Egypt. How important do you see the participation of women in this regard, Dr. Maha?
Yes, actually here in Egypt, women represent 50%, almost 50% of Egyptian society. So it's very important for women to participate in political life. We have seen women in the past, for example, in 1919, Safiya Zaghloul just was the first one who initiated the revolution of 1919 against the British occupation. After that, maybe we can find Huda Sha'rawi in 1923, which she asked for women's rights. It's very important to know that in 1956, the first time in Egypt, just to give the women her rights for voting and electing people in the parliament. And in 1957, there was the first lady who has been elected in the parliament, Hikmat Abu Zaid. And as well, women plays an important role in enhancing and empowering her family members, her society, in participation in the election process.
So just about 70 years really of women's official involvement in political life. Now, also we are seeing at many of the polling stations across the governorates quite a number of youth. Youth are also attending and very keen to cast their vote and their ballots. How do you see the participation of youth, and in your opinion, what initiatives encouraged youth to go and practice their constitutional right to vote.
Yeah, it's worth to mention that the Constitution of 2014 gave the youth rights about 25% of parliament representation. So they have to express themselves, to express what about selecting the right person in the parliament, because as I said that they are representing 25% of the total number of the parliament members. We have many initiatives here in Egypt. We have leadership programs by the National Training Academy,
Yes.
which qualify and prepare youth to political positions in the future as well. We find as a result of this program that many youth ministers, many youth participated in the parliament. So it was, and still it's very good program for succession planning and preparing second line of leaders.
Yes, absolutely right. Dr. Maha, allow me to take another guest.
Yes.
As Dr. Tariq was saying, regardless of the Egyptians' location, whether they're home or abroad, there is this sense of keenness to participate, which leads me to also ask you a similar question with the Egyptian expatriates' participation over the weekend, Friday and Saturday. We also had seen quite a lot of Egyptians heading to Egyptian consulates and embassies all around the world really to cast their ballots. So how do you see the sense of nationalism, you know, transcending borders as long as you're an Egyptian?
Actually, I was very happy when I've seen that a lot of Egyptians who lives abroad are we're electing other people. So it has a good sense of representation of national spirit to our people who lives outside Egypt. And of course, their votes affect the total number of electees who elected the other people. And of course, it's a good effort from Egypt government and embassies just to present the right shape for voting in the parliament people. So it's very good and civilized presentation for Egyptian people expatriate outside Egypt.
Indeed. And what political message, in your opinion, does this send, you know, to the whole world when they see Egyptian expatriates going to their embassies to cast their votes in Egypt's parliamentary elections? Also, many of the countries provided assistance, monitoring, helping with the inflow of traffic, etc., around the consulates. What political message does this send about Egypt to the world?
We are sending that. We are applying democratic spirit as it could be, and we have transparency. So we are applying the election process and organized as well with the best organized process and procedures, so that the other people who live outside Egypt or the international society will recognize that we are following the up to standard democratic process and transparency, just avoiding corruption during the election process. So it's very good for us. Just we are aligning with the international standard of the election process.
Indeed. And what, you know, does this participation of Egyptians, in your opinion, in this democratic process do with regards to Egypt's international standing? How do you see other countries, you know, seeing the Egyptian democratic process now?
Yes, I think most of international societies and maybe politicians, they can notice the progress of the democratic process which happened in Egypt. Maybe in the past, maybe they can be a little bit suspicious about the transparency of the election process, but now they are confident and make sure that we are transparent. We give the right person in the right place. The votes is well organized and well aligned with the standard of election.
Let me ask you, Doctor, how do you see, you know, the participation or the calling actually for the parliamentary elections in Egypt assisting in building a sense of nationalism and patriotism for Egyptians taking part in this actual process?
Yes, actually we have to know that the purpose of the parliament, that it's very important for each people inside Egypt to give their votes. As I mentioned, that it is the place that regulate rules and regulations and laws for Egypt, which will be applying in all Egypt. So it's very important to appoint the right person in the right place. Just raising awareness that the voice of people is very important, just to go and nominate or elect the right person, because it will reflect later on the transparency and the future of rules and regulations in Egypt.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Maha, we've seen as well the presence of international observers that are involved in the monitoring of the election process in Egypt. How important is their presence, and how does this, solidify their presence and their assessment so far, in your opinion?
It's very good. Just we have some outsider who can monitor the election process. It's very good, and of course they are going to make sure that all the process and procedure of the election process are up to standard, and there is no difference between Egypt or other country outside Egypt. So because Egypt nowadays, we have a concrete database here in Egypt. We have more advanced system for smoothing the election process, so there will not be big difference between Egypt or other maybe advanced country in the election process.
Absolutely right. Dr. Maha, let me move to another important issue. This time round, the National Election Authority spoke about the preparations, etc. Also, there are digital services and online platforms, QR codes, etc. How do you see, the integration of technology with regards to the preparations for the whole process of the parliamentary elections?
Yes, digital transformation is very important for advancing and empowering the election process, and in Egypt we have passed a huge stage in digital transformation and creating new portal and platforms just to facilitate the election process, and it's very important nowadays, because now we are talking about the information technology revolution, the AI, so we have to cope with the international revolution of using the technology in facilitating everything. Especially nowadays, we are using the information technology and such as platforms and dashboards in the election process.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Maha, this also leads me to the issue of media coverage. Obviously, the mainstream media is covering the elections, but there's another side of media coverage, which is social media. How do you see, social media with regards to reaching many people as a platform really for disseminating information related to the parliamentary elections in Egypt?
Actually, this is the first year for me just to notice we don't have any discrimination in social media towards the election process, and till now, this point, maybe we can find positive social media awareness among people. We don't find corruptions. Maybe in the past, if some applicants or appointees, maybe they don't have criteria for education or something, but it was in the prior to this stage. But social media now plays an important role in raising awareness about the transparency of the election process. So up till now, it's good, and it's positive awareness.
Indeed, and back to the mainstream media. Now, the media has also played quite an educational role with regards to features and stories related to the parliamentary elections, citizens' rights, the whole voting procedure, what is expected of you when you go to the polling stations, how to cast your vote correctly, etc. How important do you see this side of preparations and the ongoing parliamentary elections?
I think most of Egyptian people now, they have awareness about the election process, the importance of elections, because since the revolution of 2011, most of Egyptian people, they are interested in politics. They know their rights, how to go, how to vote, and what the importance of their votes. Now, so they have already awareness about the importance of being a positive member in the society and going to just express their votes to the right person. It's not just not through process and procedure, but it's actual process which will reflect in the future the transparency of regulations, laws, and everything in the future.
Indeed. Now, of course, the Egyptian Parliament, once it convenes, etc., has different committees which are in charge of different areas and things related to citizens' rights, whether economic committees, health, social, educational, etc. How important do you see the structure of the Parliament with regards to being fully aware of all the citizens' needs and representing them fully, as fully as they can?
Yes, the total number of Parliament members is 596. This number is divided into committees.
Yes.
Each committee will represent or discuss critical issues inside the country. For example, we have economic committee,
yes.
We can have SMEs committee, political committee, and so on. So group of specialists are joining to these committees, and this committee is discussing the major issues and problems, and just to draft how to overcome these problems, how to draft good laws and regulations, and then they can raise these recommendations to the head of the parliament, and then to be approved by the whole parliament members. So it's very important just to divide some committees. Each committee will be responsible for a certain area: social, political, economic, SMEs, and so on.
In order to really cover all the possible areas that could need attention, or attention from the citizens as well.
Yes.
Right. Let me move to, of course, some candidates are running individually, others are in party lists, etc. I want to move to the issue of quotas. Now, some people are pro-quotas, for example, for women, that they have to be 7 women out of whatever number, etc. Are you pro or against quotas that are set for women at certain percentages, must have women MPs, etc.? Are you pro?
I'm with the quotas,
okay.
And the President Sisi just appoint the right person in the right place. About 5% quota to be set by the President. And because maybe some people, they don't have a chance to be elected as a member, or individual, or inside a list, party list, or something like that. So maybe the state can see that there is a positive person who can dedicate, or can improve, or can add value to the parliament. So therefore, they could be elected by quotas or nominated by the president. So actually, because I have seen several models, such as Dr. Mariam Azir, she has been elected by the president, and she reached the United Nations, and she was a good role model for Egyptian elites.
Absolutely. And another important issue is the structure of the Egyptian parliament. It's a bicameral structure. There's the Senate, there's the higher house, lower house. This has a more objective view and a more holistic view. How important do you see this structure of the Egyptian parliament as a whole?
Actually, yes. The structure of the Egyptian parliament, it formed maybe in 1956, and it has been formed very well since that time. And of course, the structure of the current Egyptian parliament is aligned with the other Arab parliament and the international parliament. So it's not away from other parliament, but we are aligning with the international standard of parliament structure.
Yes.
So it's very good just to have different levels of seniority and so on. And of course, all of these titles and positions are up to international standard, not local standard.
Indeed. Now, and after a couple of weeks, we'll be holding the second phase of the parliamentary elections, of course, with different governorates this time round. And later on, there will be runoffs if there need be. How do you see, what are your expectations for the second phase round? There's different governorates, maybe bigger governorates than the current ones. What are your expectations for the upcoming round?
The second phase of parliament will be on 24th and 25th of November. So it's very good to divide the election process into two phases. And of course, there will be lessons learned from the first phase, how to avoid the mistakes happened in the first phase.
Indeed.
So I think the performance of the second phase will be more successful than the first phase. Maybe it will be good just to have to learn from the other or previous mistakes happened within the election process, and I hope that it will be going well.
Indeed, right. I'll have to leave it at that. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Maha Mahgoub, Senior Consultant, Union Organization. Thank you very much, Dr. Maha, for your time and for joining us this afternoon on Nile TV. Thank you very much, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up the hour's coverage, but do stay tuned, and we'll be right back at the top of the hour for further updates. Thank you for joining us.